You're now listening to the Palmetto Dugout Show, hosted by State Director Sammy Esposito, Associate Scouts Drew Stewart and Sean Smith, that discuss all things related to amateur baseball in South Carolina. Here are your hosts.
Welcome to episode 103 of the Palmetto Dugout Show. Coach Espo, what's going on?
Coach Stewie, how are we doing today? We'll fire this one. I got a great text earlier today from Coach Stewie. We'll go ahead and fire this thing off with a great thing. And it said, I'm riding in the back of a police cruiser.
We had a good start today at 10 a.m.
I go, damn, they finally got you.
They called me. They caught the rocket.
Obviously, it was going a lot better than what the text made it sound to be, even though you snuck your phone in the cruiser. But so we're off to a hot start here. Hey, we have the holidays around the corner, ready to rock and roll.
Coach, I wanted to flip that light switch a little bit, let it strobe. Wouldn't let me. Let another rocket was coming. Nonetheless, a big show ahead here for episode 103. We're going to bring him on. We got Coach Dorton from College of Charleston. What's going on, Coach?
Not much. I appreciate you guys having me on, man. Happy to be on here and looking forward to chatting with you guys, talking some baseball.
Yes, sir. I'm going to turn this one over to Espo here.
Coach, unfortunately, usually baseball is like the last thing we break it down here. First and foremost, I got to fire this one off. We touched on a little bit before he hopped on here. Your head man, my former boss, your current boss, he fired out a tweet the other day talking about the drones are in Charleston. So what we got? We got some alien activity. What we got going on floating down there?
I don't know. He seems to be leading the charge on the drone report down here. He's seeing more of them than I am, but he's got the video footage, and so I'm a believer. And I just kind of take what he gives me, and I take that and run with it. So I don't know. I'm sure he's got a couple over his house right now, and we'll get footage here in a minute.
He's always got some great stories going on down there. So it's always funny. I saw that tweet pop up the other day, and I go, oh no. Here we go. But it was always funny. But yeah, appreciate you hopping on there on here today. One of the big things, and speaking of your boss, Coach Holbrook, we've had him on. We've been grateful for him to hop on here the last couple of years and join us on the show and talking, about Cougar baseball and talking about himself and all that. But one of the things I kind of want to do is kind of really bring yourself on here and talk a little bit more. The assistant side, right? Everybody kind of the head coach of the head coaches. I want to talk about the assistant side and kind of, let the viewers, let the fans out there listen to kind of where you come from and some of this stuff and kind of, right. You're South Carolinian, right? You're kind of born and bred in here, played here, and kind of let you kind of give a little bit of history and background in your staff and, obviously being a College of Charleston alum and all that stuff, but kind of let everybody know about your history and your past and what's kind of got you to this point right now where we're at today.
Yeah, I've been lucky to spend my entire baseball career, meaning as a player too, in the state of South Carolina. Graduated from Lugoff-Elgin High School. Went on to play for Coach Lee here at the College of Charleston, and knew I wanted to get into coaching right away, and went back, coached at Blythewood High School for 1 year. And then I was very, very grateful that Preston McDonald gave me a chance as a 22 or 23-year-old at Florence Darlington Tech to come work for him and be his pitching coach at a really young age. So eternally grateful to Coach McDonald. Spent 1 year there with him, and was just as grateful, for Coach Holbrook to bring me back on at the College of Charleston, which was, such an incredible opportunity, just because, it's the school that I went to. My teammates, were my best friends, and to have the chance to go back there, with him in 2017, fall of 2017, 2018 spring, was just like a dream come true. So very lucky to work for Coach Holbrook. I think he's the best boss in the country. I think all of our assistants and staff would agree, and you certainly know a thing or two about that. So just very fortunate to be here. We got a great staff, and we enjoy being around each other, which I think, I won't say it's rare, but it's certainly not the case for every group of coaches, regardless of the level that you're at. So, we challenge each other, we compete against each other, but we enjoy being around every day. So valuable, so just extremely lucky to be in the state of South Carolina to continue these relationships and build new relationships with the coaches that, a lot of high school coaches in this state were coaching when I played. So just kind of, the way that the relationships change, from being a high school kid playing against these coaches to now working with them and, reaching out to them and recruiting their players. Just very lucky to be in the Palmetto State as long as I've been and just enjoying every day of it.
Yeah, you touch on it. I mean, obviously, outside of, Coach Holbrook has been coaching in this state for a long time, and has had a ton of ties outside of his, where he went to school himself. But like your other assistants, right? They're locals too, as well.
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, which is an extreme rarity, in the sport. You usually you look at a staff, whether it's baseball or any sport, right? In collegiate level. It's guys from kind of all over the country,
right.
And I lived it a little bit. I kind of lived in the middle of the country and kind of bounced around, but you usually don't live near your hometown or your school. A lot of times you don't get a chance to work at your alma mater. How neat is that for you to be able to go to work every single day, where you went to school, where you played at? And how awkward was that at first?
Oh, well, I mean, shoot, I don't know if Coach Holbrook knew this or not, but man, I was a senior when some of those freshmen were around. And so they were seniors and I was coming back to coach them, and shoot, I was in school with a couple of them. I don't know if he knew that. He might not have hired me if he knew that, but so I had a unique relationship. That first team was really special, just because of what they were able to accomplish. Our pitching staff had a phenomenal year, and I knew a lot of those guys just being away from the program, just keeping up with the program. It was really cool to step back into it. And, it's been really neat, to talk with my old teammates. A lot of those guys still live here. They're always coming around the field, always checking in. The guys that don't live here are always checking in to see how things are going. But yeah, when you talk about our staff, I mean, Adam Brown's a Somerville graduate. Sawyer Bridges is a Somerville graduate. So our entire staff, has spent, outside of Coach Holbrook being across the state line, but he's been here forever, spent the majority of their lives in the state. So, we try to use that our advantage as best we can. But our roots run deep in the state, and that's important. That's important, and we try to capitalize on that as best we can.
No doubt. And I'll kind of circle back to another question on this one a little bit about the Cougs, but kind of want to go into this while we're in. But you're talking about the relationships and the high school coaches. Let's kind of touch on high school baseball in the state, right? Obviously, we joke about it a lot about little old South Carolina. We joke about a little bit of disrespect or whatever. Maybe we get looked over, but you guys spent a ton of time recruiting the state, right? And you kind of look across your roster and we threw a little bit of a thing out there. You had two guys hit some big home runs in your fall scrimmage that were former future gamers that are South Carolinians that grew up through the ranks in here that have played high school baseball, but it's kind of littered across your lineup. I know, the transfer world out there, you guys are filtering in, but the core of your team is built with South Carolina kids. God, I mean, you grew up in it, you lived it, and like you said, your staff. Kind of touch on high school baseball here in the state and what it kind of means to y'all's program down there.
Well, we put such a premium on it, and to get outside of just South Carolina in general, we put such a premium on high school baseball because it's one of the rare settings nowadays where you're playing for something. So watching these kids play for their towns, for their schools. That's not, we love travel ball. We recruit travel ball just as hard, but that's something that you only get in high school baseball. And, with three of our coaches, graduating from these high schools and playing in these rivalries and knowing what they mean, we're always going to put a premium on high school baseball, and the talent in this state stacks up, against any other state there is out there. I mean, if you spend enough time in this state, you figure that out in a hurry. You just look at the guys that, we have on our roster right now and the guys that we've had on our rosters in the past from South Carolina high schools. They're some of our better players, and we'll continue to recruit the state because we know the quality of coaches that we have in this state. We know the instruction that these kids are getting. And like I said, we like guys that like high school baseball. We want to come watch you play high school baseball because we like to see when those competitive juices start flowing and you're playing for something maybe a little bigger than yourself. Those are the environments that we want to see guys compete in. So we place a big premium on high school baseball. We try to get out in the spring as much as we possibly can. It gets difficult, obviously, when we're playing games, but we're always going to hit the road in the spring and watch these guys play for their schools. It's important to us.
No doubt. And then also on top of that, you guys recruit the junior college scene, and we have a very, talented junior college circuit as well. Again, you coach at it too, but the relationship that also, I mean, can kind of name a bunch of them, but it kind of goes back to the whole thing. It's the prideful fact of you got these kids that, have come into the state, whether they're out of the area and they come in and they start to learn what it's about, or they were the high school player that maybe got overlooked or an injury or whatever happened, goes to junior college and gets developed and goes onto your program. It's kind of that same thing, but we're lucky in the fact of the great high school coaches and programs, but it also filters into that junior college level as well with those.
Yeah,
guys.
and I mean, one of the cool things about recruiting the state so hard at the high school level and our junior college programs being as good as they are is you get to follow those kids from high school that maybe you don't necessarily get all the way there in the recruiting process with them. But you evaluate them, you watch them play a good bit, then they go to these junior colleges where they're going to get coached, they're going to compete at a high level against other programs in the state, and you essentially just tack 2 years on, to that evaluation that you kind of began when they were a junior, sophomore in high school. So, having the programs that we do across the state, high school, junior college, it's up there with the better states in the country, in my opinion. It doesn't take you long to get out, and when you're burning the roads up and watching baseball, you can figure that out in a hurry.
No doubt, and it's beautiful because it's not a big one, so it's easy to hit up the highways and cover the whole thing. But you get to watch a ton of town in there. Now let's kind of flip it a little bit and talk a little Cougar baseball. So obviously, you guys crushing news last year, but eliminate that, a hell of a season. Right? You guys had a hell of a year, great run, great numbers, great everything. Looking to continue to build on that. I think 2 out of the last how many years you guys won the regular season?
Yeah, 2 out of the last 3. Yep.
2 out of the last 3, right? Winning the regular season in the conference and moving on. But also you're still under the wraps of trying to build some new things at the Patriots Point down there. What's touch a little bit on that as much as you can of where things are.
I mean,
obviously beautiful setting with everything there, but
yeah, it's a great location. And I don't know how much I can share of it, but I think there will be some exciting news coming in the future. That has to do also with the city of Mount Pleasant and some of the cool things that they're going to do, around our ballpark. And, it's going to be a great area, a better area than it already is. But yeah, we got some exciting things going on. The process is rolling, and we're looking forward to getting some of that done. Yeah, it's a great place to play. I mean, it really is. And, I think we're always going to try to improve, right? Always going to try to improve our facilities, always going to try to improve everything. We've already done some really, really great work, on what we have, thanks to, Coach Holbrook's efforts. And yeah, just excited to kind of see things continue to evolve out there at Patriots Point. It's already a great place to play. And yeah, we're looking forward to, some new bells and whistles out there, as we call them. So yeah,
I mean,
we'll get some news.
Last year, last year you got the turf, right? You got the lights, got the scoreboard.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, got the scoreboard, got the new outfield wall. We got a new sound system up. And, to touch on the first part of your question, the reason we're working so hard on getting that done. Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's a beautiful place to play. And, our players deserve it. That's the biggest thing. I mean, you look at, like you said, the season that we had last year, the way it ended, heartbreaking. I mean, they deserve so much better. And, they deserve a great place to play, which I think we've given them between the white lines, and they deserve upgraded facilities and all the things that come with that. So just going to try to continue building and doing right by our players and giving them everything that they deserve. But yeah, great season last year, crushing how it ended. But I'll tell you what's been fun is watching the chip on this team's shoulders, throughout the fall workouts. It's been really, really fun. There hasn't been really a lot of need for motivation from the coaching staff. These players that sat in that room with us last year, when that news was delivered, have kind of led the charge. And watching them kind of work, with that chip on their shoulder and that little edge, that I think is necessary to do great things has been a lot of fun. So excited for the spring.
Good. Yeah. And you, I mean, you ultimately know you live it, you've lived it multiple times, but you guys keep putting together years like you've done, and then the name starts to roll, right? It's not like, oh, this little school down here. Like
right.
we joked about it. We talked about it in one of our shows a couple weeks ago with the brand, right? The brand gets stronger every time you win a regular season tournament or a regular season championship. The brand gets better and it gets better, right? It just, so you've seen it with some other schools in our state.
Yeah.
Coastal Carolina did it forever. And then they finally broke through in it, and all hell broke loose. They got national championship. I mean, like it's the brand keeps growing and growing stronger in there. So you guys are obviously doing all the right things and keep pushing the envelopes. And that, and we're going to flip to recruiting piece on here real quick. But I had people ask me all the time in the fall and in the summer with all these new recruiting rule changes. They go, well, who's doing this? I said, the one school that keeps being aggressive and doesn't care, College of Charleston, in a good way. Like, they're just still going out there, they're offering, they're rolling, they're just trying to get good players and try to put the best product they can on the field. Because, at the end of the day, you never know. Like, I'm going to ask you a couple questions on the recruiting rules, but if I ask you these questions in 6 months, you might give me a different answer. But
100%.
And on top of that, so obviously all these rules coming in, right? And everything, everybody always looks at it as a football deal, right? Well, you're going to have all this, the revenue sharing. Everybody's going to get $15 million, $20 million. Nobody's going to have more money than us. And, well, what does it mean for baseball? What does it mean for the College of Charleston, the 34-man roster limit? Does the scholarship limit increase? Is it still – we don't know. Who the hell knows out there? What are we doing?
A little bit of everything, I think. I think probably the last point you made is kind of where we all sit, right? We don't know. And I think there's a misconception out there, among baseball fans or families of recruits and things like that coaches may know more than they do. And the reality of it is we just don't. I mean, we have the same amount of information that everyone does. I think the latest update, says 40 players at the start of the fall, cut down to 34 by December 1st, right? That's not set in stone, right? That's just the latest update. So, yeah, I mean, I think the number one thing is there's less spots, right? There's just less spots. I mean, around the board. That's not just our program. That's every single program. And I think you kind of have to walk the tightrope there of understanding that there are less spots, right? But also being aggressive and recruiting the best players that you can get. There's probably a fine line there, right? But we're always going to err on the side of aggression, and we want to get the best players that we can get. You've been a recruiting coordinator. You know the old saying, right? The numbers always work, right? So, it always finds a way to work itself out. And, I think there's two different routes you can go. I think we all could complain about the state of the numbers and the roster limits and things like that, or you can, put those complaints behind you and you can be aggressive and move forward and try to put the best team on the field that you can put on the field. And, we choose to go that way. At the end of the day, we're not going to influence these decisions that are being made, in regards to our roster and our roster limits and our scholarships and things like that. I think every coach would sit here and tell you they hope for an increase in scholarships, just like we do. We don't know that right now. I think they're going to allow you 34. I've yet to run into a program or a coach that told me that they were going to get 34 full scholarships, right? That goes across, all the conferences. If they're out there, I haven't found them yet. So I think, we're all hopeful for an increase in scholarships because that's better for the student athlete. And in regards to the roster limits, like I said, I mean, ultimately there are less spots. We're not going to be able to control or influence any of those decisions, I don't think. And, do the best you can, recruit the best players you can, but understand that, hey, there are some limits here and there is a cap on things, and try to put the best roster you can together, given the parameters, that the NCAA gives you.
Yeah, we had our conference not too long ago, and Coach Vitale at Tennessee came out and spoke, and we were kind of asking subjects like this to him, and he kind of gave a great point because he got the thing. He goes, "We have recruits, I have parents, I have our own players asking me all these rules." He goes, "The only thing I tell them is to just get better." He goes, "Because that's the only thing you can control." He goes, "Because I don't know." He goes, "I don't know what the size of our base is going to be. I don't know any of this stuff."
I don't know if we'll have two bases. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. He's like, he goes, I don't know what's going to go on, but it's also, I can also get it if you're a parent of a player or you're a player coming through what's happening, right? Mm-hmm. And it's always they're not telling you an answer because they're trying to hide something from you, but in reality, you guys don't have a clue. You hear a lot of rumors because I was trying to find this one out the other day because somebody was asking me, right? The December 1 cut date. Well, is that your scholarship players are set in stone like the old rule when school starts, or is it nobody knows?
There's a question that we don't have a ton of clarity on. We were just given that December 1st date. So anything I say on that, I would be assuming, and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So all I know is that's the latest update that we've gotten is 40 in the fall, 34 by December 1st. However, that 34 can be made up. I don't know.
It makes it, and everybody, I get it. The families are, but it also makes it tougher on you guys because you're trying to constantly build. You're recruiting the high school players. You're recruiting junior college players. You're going to recruit transfers.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's going to recruit them, right? Some do more, some do less, but you're going to recruit, in reality, all three different types of a player coming in.
Right.
Well, do I need to sign 10? Do we need to sign 5? Do we need to sign 15? Where are we at? Nobody knows. And now we're not far from the new year,
Sure.
So now time's starting to run out, and you guys signed X amount of players in the fall. What are we going to do come in the spring? What are we going to do in the summer? And you'd like to think there's going to be some clarity, but
I think from a parent standpoint and from a prospect standpoint, I think it becomes even more important than it already was to find the right fit. Because spots are scarce. They really are, and they're few and far between. And I think finding the right fit becomes even more important than it already was. Just because of how fast things can change for the player now. I mean, we're seeing it. Everyone listening or everyone who listens to this has seen it or heard it. Someone that they know got put in a tough situation. And the problem that these families will run into and the prospects will run into is it's not only less spots at the program that you're at, it's less spots everywhere else too. Right. So finding the right fit and finding a place where you're wanted and where you're valued becomes even more important than it already was. So hopefully that message is resonating with players and their families even more than it was before. It was already important. But, some people are going to find out really fast that it's even more important now to make sure that you're going somewhere where you're valued and where you're wanted.
100%. It's because again, the days of bringing in the 50, 55 kids and that guy working his way through the system and all of a sudden becoming an All-American his junior year, it's gone.
Less and less,
So, and right, wrong, or different. It is what it is going on those routes. But kind of, a couple more things before we let you get going on here. And I'm going to end with a former teammate of yours on this one. I'll let you drop some on here. But when you talked about the recruiting and the evaluation process, right? You guys can't be everywhere, right? And when you guys kind of hop on to try to, whether it's a prep baseball site or whatever, like how important is it for, when kids are going to an event and they're getting their numbers, like, is that stuff that you guys are looking at? You're going through, especially right now, it's a dead period, right? We just had an event or it's quiet period. We just had an event on Saturday, right? Guys are putting up big time numbers. You guys going through that stuff, kind of scouring that to try to build the list, and especially when the new recruit, the 27s are coming through to kind of help build that process along the way.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, it's so valuable what you guys do. When you're calling coaches about players, high school coaches, travel coaches, you guys at Prep Baseball Report, what's the one thing that you always say? Overload me with information about the player, right? Don't hold anything back. Send me as much information on this guy as you can. Send me as much information or video as you have on this guy. So what you guys do is invaluable to us. What we're able to see, the timely manner that things are turned around from y'all's events. I mean, I can't tell you how many times we're up in the office where there's a prep baseball event, whether, tournament, future, whatever it is. And you say, man, I know player X was there. I wonder how they did. And the event would have been that day. Well, a lot of times we can go find that, an hour or two after the event was over, we can kind of see how things were. And then just having all that in one place, I think, one thing that's extremely valuable is being able to see, how a player produces over time, right? Being able to see the progressions, being able to, see what they did at 16 versus 17 or 15 versus 16. And being able to see all that in one place is just extremely valuable to us. We can't be everywhere. Like you said, as much as we'd like to be, and as much as we try to be, we can't be everywhere. So just not the overload because we want it all, just the amount of information that we're able to get, how quick we're able to get it. I mean, heck, I can go in there and see what a kid's grip strength was when he was 15 years old. You know what I mean? So, I mean, the amount of information that we can get and how quick we can get it is paramount. And, we rely on what you guys do heavily. That's for sure.
Well, and that is the one thing I tell parents this, and I said, regardless if I'm an employee for prep baseball or not, like when I was coaching, like especially now in today's day and age, right before when the recruiting rules were different, you go see a freshman play, you can offer them, you can do all this stuff, like it didn't matter. Well, you would offer them, you try to commit it, and then you'd watch them. Right. Right. We can say what we want. It is what it was. Like that's how it worked. Well, now you can go, is the kid progressing, or is the kid held the line, Absolutely. Or is the kid going the wrong way? It could, right. You're wanting to see the kid track, trend the correct way. The kid that's throwing 82, 84 as a freshman, and then he's, 86, 87, and, the progression's going the right way. And that's what I tell all of our guys at every event. I go, I might screw up your headshot in your thing, but this track man unit ain't messing up your numbers.
Yeah, and you and I both know how fast things change with these kids when they're 15, 16, 17 years old. I mean, things can happen in a week, 2 weeks, a month. I mean, their bodies are changing. What they're able to do is changing. And just being able to check in with what you guys put out, and the information that you get on these kids. I mean, we can't see a kid play every week, or we can't necessarily see a kid play every month, especially in the spring. But just being able to keep up with those things and just knowing how fast these young men's bodies change and what they're capable of doing changes. Very important, very important.
Good. Well, we appreciate, we appreciate you guys always letting us on your field down there. We always run.
Oh, shoot,
we run 2 events down there, and it's always great to come down. And now you got a former teammate that's about to come get his number, I believe, inducted in the Hall of Fame. That's also a prep baseball employee up there in the great Northeast, up there in Pennsylvania and in New York. So let's talk a little bit about your man up there. So we'll give him. He listens a little bit on here. I know he's not listening right now, probably, but we'll fire something at him. But
we'll have to get on his shop. He's probably asleep because he's going duck hunting in the morning. So we'll give him a free pass. But Nathan's special. Nathan was a sophomore our first year there in 2018. Was a closer for us, and took to him right away. He was a 2-sport guy, football player, tough PA kid. And, I not only am I grateful to have coached him for 2 years, and he obviously went on to have a great career in the minor leagues with the Cleveland Guardians. I mean, he put up some really big numbers with the Guardians, and I know you guys are lucky to have him working for you because I know his passion for baseball and passion for young players. But grateful to coach him, but even more grateful, for our friendship. He's constantly keeping me dialed in on what's going on up in Pennsylvania, and constantly keeping me dialed in on how his duck hunts go too. I'm a little jealous. He gets to go a little bit more than I do, but yeah, Nathan's a special guy. Very thankful for our relationship, and I know prep baseball is lucky to have him too.
Yeah, he was one of the other. It didn't work out this year, but him when we did our super sophomore up in Wake Forest this past year, me and him were pushing hard to get the super sophomore event down at y'all's place in the Shipyard. But it just didn't work out with the schedule base of everything.
Back when Nathan pitched, spin rate wasn't a thing, but I guarantee you that sucker was cooking about 3,300 when he threw that slider in there, man. That thing was nasty, and I bet he could still do it.
We're going to have to get him on there. We're having a little challenge. We'll have to get him. He's doing a podcast now. Maybe we'll get him live on his own and try to fire a fastball there. See what we got on here. But Coach, hey man, we appreciate you hopping on here, taking some time out of your night here on this Tuesday, especially some nice downtime for you guys. So we appreciate you hopping on and enjoy this holiday season, and before you guys get rocking and rolling here, and good luck this upcoming spring.
Hey, y'all do the same, man. Appreciate everything y'all do. Thanks, Sammy.
All right, thank you.
Coach, we're back.
We're back.
Coach, that is the beginning of the college series, Coach. I mean, we've had the Tigers, the Cocks, the Cougs. What else we got?
We're going to get another chicken, Gamecock. We'll have a terrier.
Roof roof.
We'll have the Bearcats.
They are the Bearcats, yes.
And we're working on some more. But those are all locked in. So we're gonna have some more here. Just try to learn about these guys, learn about these programs, learn about what different guys like to say, like to see, and try to help promote themselves along with their program. And kind of let and then also right the different levels, right? We kind of touched on a little bit with Dorton there a little bit, right? It's the different, right? We have the high school coaches on, so we kind of cover, the high school coaches talking about their program, but also, we've had some high profile coaches in the state on, but kind of want to get those assistant coaches as well, the ones that are out there that don't get a lot of the so-called notoriety, but that are out there busting their hump and doing a lot of the work, and kind of give those guys a little bit of pub. So good for those guys.
Coach, what do they say? Often replicated, but never duplicated. That's where we're at. It's where we're at now. But back to some baseball here on the business side. Coach, first time. Here they are. The 2028 rankings to be released tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Coach. Tomorrow, 7 p.m. 7 p.m.
Ugh.
Eastern time is our normal release. We'll still up in the air how many we're going to do. We're kind of we've been talking about this for the past few weeks, where we're going to be at. I don't know. It might be a lower number. And then we kind of started getting into this. And we're like, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. He's pretty good. It kind of goes back to our old thing, like just kind of overlooking some stuff on there. But you more so forget about some of them just because of, you don't see a lot of them all the time. You'll see some younger guys here. You see some younger guys here, and it's been a decent amount of time since the end of the summer with the junior futures, and then seen a lot of those guys play, and then some of the other guys come through, but still up in the air how many we're going to release, maybe in that 15 to 20 range. Hey, right. It's still early for these guys. Some of these kids might not even be on the varsity team this year. That means absolutely nothing, right? We're trying to do a lot of projecting with this stuff. Guys we've seen. We're not just trying to throw a guy in there because somebody threw a name at us, right? We're trying to put a guy in a ranking that we've seen, right? Because what happens a lot, somebody goes, hey, you got to put Bill Smith in the rankings, and we put him in there and we never saw him with our own eyes, and he's not a very good player, or he's really good, and we don't want to be these drastic movers along the rankings that much. We want to, guys are going to move up and down. It's just the natural movement of what rankings go on, but we want to make sure we're as close to their numbers possible. I to be honest with you, I really wish, we'd wait till after the event season ends, but it is what it is, and we're going to get through them. And we feel confident about a lot of these guys, and that's why we'll probably keep it a little bit closer, just because of the confidence level of these rankings. But it's we got some talented kids. I got a chance to watch one of them last weekend square some balls up, Coach. So that was fun.
He'll show up in the rankings.
Oh, hey, tune in tomorrow in the social media world.
That's gonna be the best.
Yeah, it's we're gonna release it. I'm gonna turn my phone off.
It's okay, Coach. It's only a few kids.
But hey, that's also the other part, right? It's only a few. It's going to be a couple handfuls of kids, whatever it's going to be, right? Just because you don't come out in the initial release doesn't mean we think any less of you. Doesn't mean we think any more of somebody else. It's just a generality where we're at right now, right? And if, I did have this one question somebody asked, well, it looks like somebody went to more events than this kid did. Does that mean why he's ranked higher? No. We had more of a confidence in a ranking in that one. So a lot of times in all these rankings, right, it's our confidence in what we've seen that player. Whether, and we try to see it with our own eyeballs, right? Just like, a major league scout, a college coach, when they go watch guys, they use all these pieces of the puzzle, but they still want to see them as much as they can. We see with our eyeballs, and then we're using the numbers. It's not just a number deal, right? Because little Timmy can throw 92 off the mound, and he throws 1% strikes. Does that mean he's better than Johnny that throws 86, that throws 90% strikes? No, just the number doesn't always indicate where he's at. It might tell a piece of the story. It just doesn't mean that he's ultimately the best guy. Or, somebody hits 110 exit velo, but he swings and misses 8 out of 10 times. So it's all pieces of the puzzle when it comes down to it.
Put the pieces together, Coach.
I'm trying to.
Hey, I'm going to throw this in there. How about this comment on Instagram?
I should play the piano for the people. I get a lot of people asking me this.
In your beautiful house.
It's not real, guys.
This is real as real can be.
I tend to move around in this house with my kids, so I try to give a static background here. I figured the nice, beautiful piano.
Play Rocket Man a little bit.
Rocket Man, Piano Man,
Rocket Man.
Coach, time out. Before we go to this next one, how about your boy Dabo going to the portal real quick?
Coach, it's over.
Missouri State, Coach.
Southeast Missouri State. Be careful now.
Sorry, it's not the Bears.
The SEMO Cardinals.
SEMO. They got a good baseball program.
I mean, kid might have played some baseball too. Hey, Pooch Backage.
Stop.
But the portal, he didn't even have to pay for him, Coach.
No, because I saw his highlight tape. It looked like he was playing in a Pee Wee football game.
He might be. To be determined. Coach, the upcoming events are here. The preseason All-States are approaching us very quickly.
Getting here fast, right? We're going to start with that preseason ID, January 18th here in Columbia. Right. Hey, I do want to touch on this a little bit. Right. I get some people emailing, hey, how do we get an invite? Well, a lot of times, right, we send the invites out to the preseason All-State invite only, right? We send the invites out, right? It's based on rankings. Speaking of rankings right there, based on the rankings and based on if we've seen the players play, right? Get the invite out. Our preseason IDs are mainly for players that maybe we're not as familiar with, right? So, Drew Smith's we've never seen Drew play, whether it's in a high school game, whether it's in, an event, whether in a tournament, and he wants to come to an event. That's what the preseason ID is for, right? And we have a beautiful facility here in Columbia, Carolina Playmakers, right over there by Williams-Brice. So you guys can go run some pass routes on the field as well after we hit some tanks or throw some heaters. And the facility is awesome. I think Trey Dyson, a former Gamecock greats over there, doing some stuff over there. He tweeted out 17,000 square foot facility. We're going to be able to do everything we need to do in there. Dirt mounds for the pitchers, and we got a ton of cages, and we can move everything around. We got running lanes. So we'll start off with that. While that's going on as well, at the same time, we're going to have our first Rods and Stars event, right? And both of those are big time to help lead into those invite only, right? Again, Drew Smith shows up the preseason ID, runs his crotch rocket time of a 6.44. Boom, we're gonna, now all of a sudden we like this guy. We're gonna slide him in here. He's moving over here. Invite, possibly border battle. So that's kind of how that stuff rolls going into that process. But yeah, so we'll finish up on the 18th in Columbia, and then we'll burn up the highways the next weekend, the 25th down in the Shipyard. By the way, I am going to throw a little warning out on this one. That one is getting very close to being sold out. So I'm going to go ahead and throw that one out there. Just to be honest with you, I ain't just saying that to say that one. That one's getting up there. So preseason All-State South down in the Shipyard is that one's getting packed. And people go, how's it sell out? They don't like to cut their lights on in the winter, so we have a cutoff time when we got to be off the field. So we do have to have some. Plus, also in case of weather, we have to be inside there. We can't go out of control. And then the next day, we'll be burning up the roads up to Rock Hill at the Hip Mill, another gorgeous event. And I do think this one, I want to touch on this. Our indoor events, we pick the facilities. Right, there's not a lot of indoor facilities here in the great state of South Carolina, right? And usually you don't need a lot of humongous ones because of where we're at. But we've picked these facilities with the ability to run our full showcase. I think a lot of times when people go, I don't know, it's indoors. If we couldn't run what we needed to run, we're not going to go do it at that event, at that facility. So our preseason All-State North up at the Hip Mill, we're going to be able to do everything the exact same. It's just not outside, right? We can move stuff around. They got nets that can go all over the place. We're going to have access to their whole field. Boom, bang, bang. We got it all. We got it down pat. We just our schedule might just be a little bit different and bring kids in waves, bring players in waves a little bit different, but we're going to be able to access and do everything we need to do with that indoor facility. So fired up for those upcoming events. We'll get through some holidays here, open up some presents here soon, and hopefully maybe some players get some invites in there to open up for coming to those events. You know what I'm saying?
Watch out.
Watch out now.
Make sure to come see us in Rock Hill. We're so close to Chester, the beautiful city of Chester, so make sure to see us in Rock Hill.
Pop.
Coach, that's enough. You can go get you a beautiful rose while you're in Chester.
Roses.
Express. Coach, our last little piece here, the high school preview shows are underway. Coach, we've met with Coach Wade Padgett at Powdersville. We've got, I think it's 1 tomorrow and 2 on Thursday, Coach. I don't have my phone on me. Let's pull it up for you right here. The Google Calendar. I thought I had something. Here we go.
It's not there.
Coach, yes, we do. We have a live high school preview. Coach Matt Cavan and Greenville Hurricanes tomorrow night. And then we have another live on Thursday night with Coach Trent Strickland in Central High School. Previews are underway, Coach. We've had, I think, 10 sign-ups so far. The link is live on social media. I think it's posted 20 times. So make sure you go sign up for those.
I feel like I've been missing something every time I see it, but that's the purpose of it. Hey, on top of that, too, get them preseason questionnaires. We've already beat the amount of teams from last year that have already filled that out. So, again, if you have not received one, don't just keep thinking it's going to pop up there. Let me know, right? Let me know. It's a quick, easy share. I can get that thing to you. We'll put out another post on that one on social media. I know a lot of you coaches, you guys are ready for this, this last week of school to end as well. So I get it. So you don't want to do anything else. I understand that. But we're going to post those. The beautiful thing with those previews, we won't start running those stories until we get into February. So we got some time when it comes to those. But fill those things out. We want, right, the purpose of the questionnaire and the preview is for us to promote your players and promote your program. So it's, we joke about it all the time. It gives us more work to do. We want to do more work to help promote you guys out. So hop on there, fill those things out. If you don't see it in your inbox, you haven't gotten one, you're a new coach, whatever the reason is, but you want to do it, hop on here and let us know about your players.
Get it done. Best promoters in the game, Coach.
The promoters.
So I don't have anything else. We're a little light on today's show. If you got something,
Coach, I got one thing. I want to touch on. I just want to look back briefly on Saturday. So that was our first winter hitting update we've ever done. Right, go down Mike Williams' place, Dominant Elite down in Conway. First of all, huge thank you and shout out to him and his crew for opening up the doors and letting us in there. We were over 20 players showed up on Saturday, and they lit up some numbers, right? It was fun. It was a lot of entertainment, rotating them around. Did some competition at the end, had the track man up. They got TVs in the facilities. We had the track man on the TV kind of showing their numbers. Outside of just seeing some very talented players, it also is a little bit more. We got to interact with those guys, trying to get them a little, talk a little trash to each other in the competition. But it was fun. But we started the stories today, and tomorrow and the next 2 days, I'm going to overload the Twitter sphere with some TrackMan videos. I'll probably split up in 2 days. But we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of the guys had a max exit velo of 100 miles an hour or higher. And then we only had 3 guys that didn't touch 90 or higher. And of those 3, one was a 2029.
Gee.
That's an 8th grader for you guys that don't know, in which I started to question my son's like 2 years from that. I'm like, whoa, that's a big difference. And then one was a 28, and they were just right on the cusp. Those last 3 guys were all right on the cusp. So we had a bunch of talent, right? We had a couple 103s. We had a 411 foot, right? We had some big time numbers, and I get it. People go, it's in the cage, but we're on a hack attack. We had some pace to it. We were challenging them, having some fun. I don't know. For me, it was a fun environment. I really think the players enjoyed it. And we got a chance to go down to that Conway Myrtle Beach area, which we don't really get an opportunity to get down there much. We cover high school games, we do all that stuff, but we don't get down there to run a lot of events. So, that was fun, and that was huge for us to get down there to come see a lot of these talented players. I mean, it was, there's players there that were former future gamers, former senior future gamers, former junior future gamers, gonna be future gamers. I'm gonna go ahead and throw that one out there. And some guys that are going to be in the mix to be in that future games team. So it was a very talented. So you college coaches, if you're still hanging in there with us and you're like, what do I do? I don't have anything going on. Go look at those numbers. Videos are going to be posted here probably by the end of the week. I'm going to start getting all that TrackMan video out these next couple of days. I'll probably split those two stories up on social media the next 2 days. So it was a fun event, and I had players ask me, "Hey, you guys going up to upstate to do it?" I go, "Whew, great idea. A little too late to do it now, but next year, 2 different areas. So we'll come in hot." But we did all TrackMan, we did blast, and we got a bunch of video and let them have at it. So it was a good time.
Coach, that's the first one, right? We got many more to go. Watch out.
First one. I thought, right, December, not much going on. You don't want to really mess with the arms much.
Hitters hit.
There were some hitters hit. If you're a hitter, that's what you should be doing right now anyway, hitting. So you're ready to roll. You don't have to worry about running or doing anything. Come hit some tanks. Let it eat.
That's how we do it. Coach Espo, big weekend ahead. The playoffs are this week. Coach, no podcast on next Tuesday. We will not convene for Christmas Eve, unfortunately. We'll see you guys again next week. Espo, anything else here?
No, man. It's just want to wish everybody here a wonderful, happy holidays. We'll be seeing you guys in the new year. How about that one? Oh no, we won't.
We won't.
Nope. I was off a couple of days.
We got a special one planned and coming up if you can make it. To be determined.
TBD.
Depends on if he's on in Shane Beamer's passenger seat. Anyway, we'll wrap this episode up. From all of us here at Prep Baseball South Carolina, we hope you have a happy holidays.